We bet you won't find a single individual who doesn't like the breakfast delicacy that comes bearing the name Pop-Tarts. Ever since the 60s, Pop-Tarts have been an iconic breakfast and snack item that people regardless of age love to munch on. Was the supreme combo of convenience and taste enough for Pop-Tarts to still be relevant in 2024? Or was there something more to it? Well, why don't we find out? Because today, we'll be talking about how Pop-Tarts became a billion-dollar breakfast sensation. The year was 1963, a pivotal turning point in American society. As more women poured into the workforce, the typical family routine was disrupted. Mornings once centered around a sit-down family breakfast grew rushed and chaotic instead. New convenient breakfast options were desperately needed for this on-the-go modern lifestyle. At the same time, the Kellogg Company was dealing with declining cereal sales as families had less time for leisurely breakfasts around the kitchen table. They wanted to expand beyond the cereal aisle into portable breakfast options, but had no expertise in baked goods. These two conditions created the perfect storm to spur the invention of a revolutionary new kind of breakfast pastry.
Pineapple! Cherry!
Watermelon.
Kellogg charged a small cookie and cracker company named Keebler with creating a grab-and-go morning meal. They needed something shelf-stable that could be prepared quickly, ideally by just popping it into the toaster on the way out the door to work or school. It also had to appeal to children as the prime breakfast eaters and decision influencers in most households. The result of this challenge was one of today's most iconic breakfast time treats, the Pop-Tart. Little did Kellogg and Keebler know when they joined forces to engineer this simple toaster pastry that it would balloon into a billion-dollar breakfast sensation over the next 6 decades, supplanting cereal as America's breakfast staple of choice for generations to come. Kellogg enlisted the expertise of Keebler, a small cookie and cracker company known for innovation, to bring their vision for a grab-and-go breakfast pastry to life. They tapped a rising star Keebler product developer named Bill Post for the top-secret project that would eventually change the breakfast game forever. Armed with little more than a rough homemade sample, resembling a small slice of bread with fork marks poking holes around the edges, Post and his team set to work. They labored for months perfecting not only the Pop-Tart formula, but the machines and technology to mass-produce this delicate pastry. The goal was to engineer a breakfast treat substantial enough to satisfy morning hunger, but portable as a cookie for busy families on the move. It had to be perfectly proportioned to pop up evenly in the toaster. Not too thick to burn, or too thin to toast unevenly. The filling needed just the right consistency so as not to ooze out mid-bite. 6 months later, the Pop-Tart was born. Dubbed for the satisfying pop sound the pastry makes escaping hot toaster wires. Post himself vividly remembers the popcorn-like pop that echoed in the test kitchens, as his prototype toaster pastries shot skyward, browned to perfection. Thanks to Bill Post's unique vision of melding portability, taste, and family-friendly functionality, Pop-Tarts, as we know them today, sprang spectacularly to life. Though Post was proud of his Pop-Tarts prototype, early focus groups with mothers were disappointing. These homemakers struggled to properly toast the pastries without mishaps. Early versions warped or oozed fillings when exposed to heat, confounding household cooks. Post had an aha moment, realizing children, not the moms in charge of buying groceries, should be the real target audience and decision drivers. He slipped some contraband Pop-Tarts home for his own kids to taste test. To his relief, they loved them. Armed with proof that kids' seal of approval might outweigh mom's hesitation, in 1964, Kellogg moved ahead with a small retail test launch. Pop-Tarts debuted in grocery stores across the Midwest in 4 classic flavors: strawberry, blueberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and apple currant. Despite only modest marketing, Midwestern kids quickly spread word-of-mouth buzz about these radical new toaster-ready pastries. Pop-Tart's success took the companies by surprise, actually creating shortages barely a month after launch. Demand vastly outpaced supply, with crazed customers clearing shelves the minute stores could stock them. Lines wrapped around blocks with kids dragging parents to score the hot new sweet treat. Within the year, engineers increased production capacity to over 10x higher, still struggling to keep shelves stocked. As Post predicted, children fell passionately in love with Pop-Tarts, overruling any maternal skepticism. Their delight catapulted humble Pop-Tarts into a booming sensation almost overnight. In 1965, Pop-Tarts rolled out nationwide in 6 flavors. Building on the buzz from kids, distribution expanded to grocery stores coast to coast. Early TV commercials targeted children directly, positioning Pop-Tarts as the fun, convenient breakfast parents could feel good about serving. In 1967, Pop-Tarts introduced the first of countless line extensions, Frosted Pop-Tarts. Thanks to a serendipitous discovery that icing would not in fact melt in the toaster, kids now had a sweet treat for breakfast. Between base flavors and seasonal special editions, the product line continued expanding to drive ongoing sales growth. Pop-Tarts may have launched the convenient breakfast category, but expert marketing and constant innovation are what cemented its status as a billion-dollar brand. Over 60 years later, Pop-Tarts still dominate the toaster pastry aisle, bringing in nearly $1 billion in US sales in 2022, an almost 9% increase. The brand has grown steadily over many decades despite recessions, natural disasters, and shifting consumer preferences. Pop-Tart's success relies on its uniqueness. No competitor has managed to dethrone the original toaster pastry. Pop-Tarts have thrived decade after decade because the brand forges an emotional bond with fans early on in childhood that elicits nostalgic loyalty later in adulthood. Today, nearly 30% of US households still purchase Pop-Tarts, many motivated by warm memories of simpler, happier times. Parents who once begged for sugary Pop-Tarts in their school lunchboxes now buy them for their own kids, reconnecting with that childlike joy with each bite. The iconic Pop-Tarts taste and experience transports adults back to childhood as they share the iconic snack with their own family. No competitor has replicated this rich emotional engagement across demographic groups spanning generations. By continually renewing its relevance with young fans, Pop-Tarts ensures lifetime consumer devotion as today's kids eventually grow into tomorrow's wistful adults, hungry to revisit the sweet, reassuring flavors of their past. In 2022, Kellogg made a bold move to secure Pop-Tarts' future growth prospects by splitting into 3 independent companies. This allowed brands like Pop-Tarts, Pringles, and Cheez-Its to come under a new entity called Kellanova Laser, focused solely on snacks. No longer playing second fiddle to cereal products, Pop-Tarts will benefit under Kellanova's leadership that views the world's $850 billion global snack food industry as their true north. With no cereal business to subsidize, every business decision will focus squarely on aggressive snack growth. As Pop-Tarts celebrates 60 years in 2023, extensive marketing campaigns targeting new demographics and geographies show no sign of slowing down. While inflation and costs continue rising, strategic price increases have kept profits healthy without consumer revolt. Health consciousness and low-sugar diet fads come and go, but Pop-Tarts has skillfully adapted as an occasional treat, not a daily meal replacement. Limited edition seasonal flavors attract new users, while tried-and-true classic flavors spur repeat childhood nostalgia purchases. Resting on their billion-dollar laurels is not part of Kellogg's vocabulary. Beyond the US, they aggressively tailor products to local tastes in emerging markets primed for snack growth. With laser focus and nimble innovation, Pop-Tarts is poised to thrive under its new Kellanova identity for decades to come. Over 60 years later, Pop-Tarts remains a shining example of an iconic brand standing the test of time. Very few modern food products have replicated both its enduring multi-generational consumer appeal and consistent billion-dollar yearly sales like Pop-Tarts enjoys. This beloved American breakfast treat that sparked to life simply to satisfy a need for convenience 6 decades back has morphed into a lucrative sensation through relentless focus, innovation, and true understanding of the end consumer. As buying behaviors change and health trends come and go, Pop-Tarts proves resilient thanks to expert marketing that preserves brand love across age groups. Today, both boomer grandparents and their millennial grandkids enjoy this familiar treat as a nod to simpler times. Here's to embracing the next 60 years of delighting families and spurring sweet nostalgia with warm, just-baked Pop-Tarts moments. This breakfast sensation conquered the past 60 years through strategic consumer insight, so there is no doubt this brand has staying power baked into its DNA for decades more success.